Hi, welcome to Renovation University. This is one of a four-part series on renovation loans and what we offer at NFM and how they work. This particular module is going to cover renovation loans and the process here at NFM lending from start to finish for you. So we're going to go over the referral process. We're going to talk about the life of a renovation loan and how they flow from pre-qual all the way through draw, and then we'll talk about some marketing tips. So the referral process at NFM and all of the divisions for renovation is special, largely because this is a very niched out product that if you're not working in it on a daily basis can weigh you down in your pipeline, and our goal is to make sure that loan officers have all of the tools at their beck and call basically to make you more productive, and we have found that this is a more productive, successful way of originating and closing the renovation loans. So what are the benefits for you as a loan officer for offering renovations and referring into the renovation department your loans? Well, first of all, it's going to increase your income base with a whole new buyer pool. So all of those buyers that are looking for fixer-uppers, you'll be able to accommodate them with top-notch service, which is our standard in renovation. You will also be able to show that you've got specialty tools and specialty departments that support you to your local lender, to your local realtors and clients. It becomes a one-stop shopping for all of your buyers and agents, preventing you from having to refer out these transactions to other lenders because you're not familiar with them. They're also a great deal saver. So think about renovation if you have a property that either underappraises or perhaps comes in at a C5 or a C6 condition, or a home inspection that goes bad. Before that buyer withdraws their contract or cancels their contract, this is a great option for them to still purchase the home and get it into a lendable state for whatever program they're doing. Keep in mind that you as the referring loan officer still will get volume and unit credit towards the production numbers, but the loan does move into the renovation department's pipeline once the deal is under contract, and applications and disclosures are all done by the renovation department. So the referral process. As the referring loan officer, we do expect you to go ahead and pre-qualify the client for their total amount. That means you'll collect your income, assets, and pull credit, and make sure that the loan is input into Encompass. In the pre-qual stage, as the referring loan officer, if you've got a buyer that's just thinking about doing a renovation loan, certainly feel free to schedule a call and have a conversation with the renovation loan manager, you as the referring loan officer, and the client to review what is involved with the renovation loan process. So once that loan referral form that we ask you to fill out is completed and sent over, we'll review the file and get some basics from you. We'll work with you to determine what the best options for the client are, whether it be FHA, VA, or conventional. And we do ask that you complete the Reno referral form that is found on our department page on Insight, and I'll show you where that is in a couple of slides. So once the renovation referral form is sent over to the renovation department, go ahead as the referring loan officer and schedule a call with the renovation loan manager, me, so that we can all get together on a call jointly with your client and have a warm handoff, so to speak. We want to make sure that the buyer understands that you are still their local loan officer and that you're their boots on the ground person, and that as the renovation manager and the renovation department, we're just coming alongside you as the local expert to facilitate the renovation loan process. So what happens on the calls that we have with you and your client, and even the realtor if they'd like to be on it? We will review with the client the renovation loan process. Again, that we are coming alongside you as the local loan officer to facilitate this program. And we'll discuss the program specifics with the buyer, the one that they're pre-qualified for. We will also review the loan estimate and explain the fees that are included in the financing for a renovation loan, because it's not just the purchase price and the renovation costs. There's more involved that gets financed, and we'll explain each of those costs to the buyer so they have an understanding of how we come up with their loan amount. We will also review the contractor requirements and the bid requirements for each of the individual programs that the borrower is pre-qualified for. And once the call is complete, we will then do a follow-up email to everyone that was on the call, provide a copy of an estimate as discussed, and a copy of our renovation toolkit that corresponds with the program that they're going to be using. So we do have a toolkit for each program, FHA, VA, and conventional, and we make sure that the buyer gets that so they've got everything in writing that was discussed in the call, and a referral document that they can look back on if they have questions or forget part of our conversation. Once the borrower is under contract, the renovation team then moves that loan into our pipeline. It comes out of the referring loan officer's name and gets put into the renovation loan manager's name. We add you then as the referring loan officer, so you will still be able to see the file and Encompass, but we just ask that you don't make any changes to the file. The referring loan officer is paid out per branch policy, and you do receive volume and unit credit for the closed loan. The renovation loan department will keep you as the referring loan officer looped in with all of the loan statuses that we do on a weekly basis. Typically on Wednesdays is when we send out our pipeline loan statuses to all of our clients, and we do copy you and the buyer's agent. The loan is then processed, underwritten, and closed at corporate. The renovation referral form that I was referring to earlier can be found on Insight under the renovation department. So if you go to the main page of Insight and click down on the departments, you'll find that the renovation department has its own page. There's a ton of tools on there, and I encourage you to keep that in mind. But right up at the on the right hand side under the department links is the renovation referral form, and then there's also some videos on how to actually run some pre-qual numbers if it's after hours or weekends, or you need it urgently. There is a way for you to actually run numbers for a client, and there is a video also on how to price out the loan in Optimal Blue. Just as a note, a quick note for you, when you're running rates in OB and need to figure out what your rates are going to be, first of all, you're going to set the sales price and the estimated value to the total of the purchase plus all of the renovation costs. And then you're going to need to check at the bottom before you hit submit. There's a Reno rehab box. It's down by where you also would check affordable housing, and I think bond might be in there. So anyway, so it's at the very bottom before you click submit, make sure you click Reno rehab. As a note, if you are pricing out a conventional renovation loan, you're going to want to use Planet. If you're pricing out a VA renovation loan, you're going to want to use Planet. And if you're pricing out a FHA renovation loan, you're going to want to click on PennyMac or Planet, whichever is better. So what is the life of a renovation loan from pre-qualification to closing? And what is the timeline? So I like to kind of go over this because they are a little bit different. So first of all, as I said, you as the referring loan officer will actually pre-approve the buyer. And then when they've decided they found a property that needs renovation, the realtor will write the contract as is, with any renovations or any repairs that are identified either in the home inspection or the appraisal would be included in the loan to be repaired after closing. Once the contract is ratified, the agent forwards it to the loan officer, and you would then forward it to the renovation department. The renovation loan manager, that's me, triggers the loan disclosures, and I'll lock the loan. I will forward you copies of the pricing for you to weigh in on what you'd like it to be priced out at. And we then start the apps and send out the disclosures. At that point, if it's an FHA loan, the borrower is then going to meet with an FHA 203K consultant. And if it's a conventional or a VA, they just need to meet with their contractor and develop their scope of work. Typically, we recommend that the consultant inspection occurs within the first 3 to 10 days of being under contract, so that the buyer has an idea of what the contractor needs to bid out. Again, if there's a 203K consultant involved, the borrower then receives the feasibility study done by the consultant, and they will then forward the bid on repair sheet to the contractor to bid out the scope of work as outlined by the consultant. The contractor will need to meet with the borrower at the property to review the scope of work, and then they'll finalize their bid. Keep in mind that the buyer can get as many contractor bids as they want, but they can only choose one contractor, and the more contractors' bids they go to get, the longer it's going to take for them to finalize the scope of work and which contractor they're going to be using. But once they've finalized their choice of contractors, the consultant then merges those contractor numbers into their specifications of repair, which is abbreviated SOR. We love our acronyms. The credit file is submitted to processing and underwriting during this whole process of finalizing numbers, so that we can go ahead and have credit approval before we even have ordered the appraisal. The loan is, once it's conditionally approved, we send the borrower their condition list, and we're working on the credit side the whole time that the buyer is finalizing their scope of work. Once the final scope of work is developed based on the consultant's initial report and the contractor's final numbers, the renovation department will work with the contractor for validation and will get it signed. All of the paperwork that's needed for the program will be signed by all parties. At that point, we're also gathering final credit conditions, and then we'll be ordering the appraisal. So you'll see that there's a lot of time between contract and application between then and the date that we order the appraisal. We can't order the appraisal until we have a final scope of work, because the appraisal is going to be done using an as repaired value, or ARV. So it's really important that we keep our buyers on track for getting the scope of work finalized as soon as possible so that we can meet our closing date. Once the appraisal is received back in to the renovation department from the appraiser, we'll send the file to underwriting for final review of property and credit and all of the conditions for final approval. We'll send the initial closing disclosure out, and once we have final approval, the closing will be scheduled. Typically, renovation loans take 45 to 60 days to close after contract. Just as a note for you, again, that has very little to do with actually the loan process. The longest part of the entire process is the buyer finding, identifying, and finalizing the contractor of choice. Once the closing occurs, the renovation escrow account is set up, and renovations begin. The renovations should start within 30 days of closing, and they must be finished within, actually, this is wrong, it says 6 months. FHA is now 12 months, Fannie Mae conventional is 15 months, and VA is 90 days. So it's going to, the renovations completion is going to change based on the loan program. So some marketing plans, ideas for you guys. If you've got buyers that are struggling to find a house in this market, they just can't find one that has the right number of bedrooms, or they know where they would like to be in a school district and they just can't find a house. The renovation loan's a great idea, because all of the already fixed up houses go really fast. They're hot commodities. But the houses that need a little TLC, maybe they're a 2-bedroom and the buyer's looking for a 3-bedroom, those types of houses sit longer. So this is a great opportunity to return to your clients and say, hey, you know what? I know you've been struggling finding a house over the past 6 months and you've written 30 contracts. You've been beaten out on all of them. Why don't we look at doing a renovation loan for a house that needs a little TLC that's been sitting on the market for a little while. So that is a great way to work with your current pipeline of pre-qualified buyers. For your past clients, if they have reached out to you and they want to do a renovation, but they don't have enough value currently to do a cash out, the renovation refinance is actually based on the ARV, not the current value. So that's a big value add for your client. Plus, it's one loan, one interest rate, which will be lower than a HELOC. And not interest only. So the renovation loan is a great opportunity for you to reach out to past clients. The other tool that you can use is, schedule conversations with your realtor partners. Take your agents to a coffee talk. Offer to do listing flyers or open house flyers with renovation information for houses that are dated or fixer-uppers or that have been languishing on the market. You can also order yard signs or sign writers from Vistaprint. You could do a lunch and learn at a local real estate office. And one of my favorites is sending out the loan rescue email on the 15th of every month to realtor partners, just saying, hey, if you've got a transaction that needs some help, let me know. You could even pop by their office and drop off a loan rescue flyer that's available in our marketing flyers database. We've got those readily available. And attach to them with like a mini Band-Aid kit. So you can order them on Amazon. They're super cheap. It's a great way to be eye-catching, just as a pop-by into real estate offices to talk about rescuing deals for them. The other idea is, talking to your prospective realtor partners that you're not working with quite yet. Look for properties that are advertised as is, or it's an REO agent, and just let them know that you have renovation financing available to accommodate their buyers. So there are some ideas for you. This is the end of the first module. The next modules you can take whenever you want at your leisure. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My name is Heidi Gage. I'm the Renovation Loan Manager at NFM and all the divisions.